Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. Thanks for tuning in. As always, shout out to all the subscribers and big up to anyone new. So Canelo Alvarez finally finds an opponent, and that is fellow Mexican Jaime Munguia. They're going to square off May 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. This is actually a really good fight. I'm actually excited about this fight. Why? Because if you think about Canelo's previous fights, right? They haven't exactly been, memorable in terms of like an exciting fight, or, obviously the Bivol one was very memorable, but he lost, and then after that, the Golovkin fight was, a lot of people weren't that interested in that fight to begin with. And then it was obviously probably, Triple G didn't really bring it, let's be honest. And, it just wasn't a good fight per se. And then obviously you had Jermell Charlo, which people weren't that excited about that fight either, given, the move up in weight. So he hasn't really had an exciting, fight really. And, Canelo fights, I think his brand needs this. And I think, it's going to be an exciting fight. Jaime Munguia is never not in an exciting fight. This guy brings it. And what's interesting about this fight, he's a volume puncher. He throws a lot of punches. He likes to bring it basically. And he throws combinations, punches in bunches. Canelo, less, active with his punches, but, harder, sharper, more aggressive punches and more crisp. So it's a really beautiful mesh of styles. And obviously Munguia coming off a good win against Ryder, which, Canelo wasn't able to stop him. So there's always that talk. It doesn't really, that is what it is. But I'm excited because Munguia is always, in exciting fights, because he lets his hands go, and when you let your hands go, there's opportunities for you to be hit. So that's an intriguing part for me. Where's Canelo going to slice up Munguia in between those shots? Is Munguia, he's been getting a little bit more responsible, I think, with his punches, and he's keeping his hands up a little bit. He has been buzzed and clipped several times, especially I think Spike Sullivan he must have quite a decent chin, to be honest with you, because that shot that Spike O'Sullivan caught him with was a pretty hard shot, and it did buzz Munguia, but a lot of people would have gone down from that. And he got hit after it as well. And then I think Derevyanchenko had him hurt a little bit, but look, he's always in exciting fights. He brings it and he comes to fight, and it will be an all action packed fight. And I was thinking to myself, when was the last time we seen Canelo get truly backed up? And I guess the Yildirim fight a little bit, but not as much as I thought. I went back to watch it this morning, and he was definitely getting pushed back a little bit. But Canelo's a strong guy. Do you know what I mean? He's got that compact, tight, low center of gravity, and he was pushing Yildirim back a little bit. It was a bit, ebb and flow, and But outside of that, obviously Bivol had him backed up in moments, but generally speaking, there hasn't really been a fighter that's been backing Canelo up. And I'm not totally sure that Munguia will. I think there'll be a lot of fighting done in the mid range, in the middle of the ring, a little bit like Triple G2 probably, unless Munguia decides to really step on the gas and really let his hands go. But that's very dangerous against Canelo, sharp punching counter puncher like him, But I think it's a good fight. Like I said, obviously people are going to talk about the Mexican rivalry and Canelo not fighting Benavidez and having that as an excuse. I mean, what can you say? Do you know what I mean? It's a shame that the Benavidez fight isn't happening, but at the end of the day, I'm not mad at this fight. I think it is a good spectacle, and I think it will be a pretty good fight, to be honest with you. Munguia's never been down, let alone stopped. They both got, goodness me, how many fights have they got between them? Over 100, right? Over 100. Canelo's had what? 60 something fights, almost 70 fights. That's crazy. That is crazy. Anyway, I'm excited about that fight. I think that's really good, really pretty good news. I'll be looking forward to that. Be interesting to see who's on that undercard. And moving on to other news, which a fight that hasn't been signed. And I made a video about David Morrell being the mandatory for Edgar Berlanga. and Berlanga just flat out turned that down, said no. And you know, they had their eyes on Canelo, but someone that's just popped up in the picture is Daniel Jacobs. Now, people might think he doesn't really deserve this. The last fight he had was against John Ryder, which he's, you know, lost, which was a very close fight. I watched that live. I thought Daniel Jacobs did enough to win, but I only watched it once. So sometimes, you know, you have to watch a fight a couple of times. That was in the UK. It was probably home cooking. If that fight was in America, they might have given it to Jacobs. Nonetheless, I don't think he's too far past it, Jacobs. You know, he's always had skills. I think one of the things that is really questionable about him is what kind of a camp is he going to have for the Berlanga fight. And I say that because one of the most shocking stories I heard was of Danny Jacobs, where his trainer, he's an old trainer, they might still be together because he was with him for the Ryder fight, but Andre Rozier from Brooklyn, I actually really like him as a trainer. He's a really good trainer. I love listening to his interviews. And he said once that Daniel Jacobs didn't train properly for the Canelo fight. And that was, he said that publicly. That blew my mind. How do you not train for the biggest fight of your career? So, you know, now he's got that Canelo bag. He's probably doing quite well for himself. I don't know where he's at in terms of the preparation, but in terms of a stylistic matchup, that still poses a big problem for Berlanga. But it would also give, obviously they're gunning for that Canelo fight, that would give Berlanga, if Berlanga won that, especially decisively in some sort of good fashion, that's a massive boost for the Canelo fight. Obviously Canelo Jacobs fought from New York, you know, it really would spice things up, and Eddie Hearn would be able to sell that like, you know, hotcakes or whatever. But no, I like the fight. I do. Does he deserve it? You know, that's questionable, but at the end of the day, boxing doesn't work like that. They do what they want. The promoters, they do what they want. They work on their own time. At the end of the day, it is what it is. If you look at Sebastian Fundora, great kid, love the kid, don't you know what I mean? He's got good energy, good soul, but he's about to fight for a world title coming off a knockout loss. You know, so it's like boxing's not fair, really, is it? But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we can just enjoy the fights for what they are. Anyway, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts if you have any, and have a great week. All right, peace. I'm out.